I think we have everyone here. And Mike, you're probably going to need to call it to order and do all that because with the,
Yep,
okay.
I understand. So we're all set at 7 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. You want to do a roll call or?
Sure. Ridsdale,
Here.
Pacelli,
Here.
Judd,
Here. I guess.
Giesler,
Here.
Culpepper.
Here.
Bradenberg. And Dina, did you hear me? You're muted.
I said here. Yeah, I heard you.
There you go. All right, we're good then.
Okay, thank you. I guess I will open the floor up to public comment to anyone that is not on the agenda or speaking of an item on agenda.
Yes, Mike, this is John Liskey. I'd like to make a comment and a
Yes, sir.
request. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to comment here. I wanted to cover two things. I wanted to give you a very short update on our progress on the 120 West Grand River building. As I think you've all seen, we've made a lot of progress. The interior is almost done. We have a few more final permits or inspections to obtain. But I'm hoping in about 30 days, we should have an occupancy permit. We probably won't be opening until after the first of the year, just because things are going, things go slow. But in this process, as we're moving along, I had approached Paula. I kind of waited till after the election because we wanted to add a couple of signs. And so normally, as I understand it, this is more of an administrative function that Paula can handle. But given the fact that when we submitted our site plan, we only proposed one sign. And so to kind of dot our I's and cross our T's, I asked Paula if I could ask you guys, the Planning Commission, tonight to add to your agenda for tonight's meeting, consideration of approval of additional 2 signs on our building.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I guess I would, just for keep everything's order, John, I hate to drag you along with this, but we will address that under others.
Okay.
So it won't take long, but let's address the other stuff that we had first, and then we can come
Yep.
back. Okay,
Thank you.
Is there anyone else out there with public comment? Okay, if not, we will move to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2020. Apicelli.
I'll second. This is Giesler.
We have a motion by Apicelli, second by Giesler, to accept the minutes of September 21st, 2020. Any discussion? No discussion, roll call?
Ridsdale,
Yes.
Pacelli,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Giesler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Okay.
Minutes have been approved. All right, item number 4, appoint a chairperson. Who out there in the lovely audience on the Planning Commission would like to take the chair position seat? I see fingers pointing at themselves saying something about, I'd like to be nominated. Was that the case, Dina?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I think you're amazing for that.
Well, we usually try to have somebody else other than me.
Right.
So Does anyone have any nominations for someone that might be willing to take the chair position?
I nominate Jeff.
Well, we have.
Thanks, Dina. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All
Are you,
right,
Jeff? Good.
so. And you want to put that in the form of a motion? I guess we'll just keep it all formal.
I move to nominate Jeff Giesler as chairperson for the planning commission.
I'll second.
And we'll second that by Risdale. Is there any other discussion about Jeff being the chairperson, which he has volunteered in a way for? So. Paula,
Okay, so Ridsdale,
Yes.
Appicelli,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Giesler.
Would it be in bad taste if I said no? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, yes.
Culpepper.
yes.
Okay,
All right, Jeff. You are now the chairperson. Would you like to take this meeting over?
Sure. So let's move to the next topic. Public hearing. The map amendment to the city of Laingsburg zoning map. So help me out here. How do we go start with this?
so we just need a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing of the map zoning amendment. Appicelli.
I'll
Second.
second.
All right, so we have a motion from Appicelli to open the motion, and Dean and Dina both kind of said it at the same time, so.
She owes me a Coke.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so now do we have discussion on this?
Whenever we have a motion in a second, then we have to have a vote.
Oh, okay, so let's vote for opening the discussion on the public hearing.
Ridsdale,
Yes.
Appicelli,
Yes.
Judd,
Yeah.
Giesler,
Yes,
Culpepper.
Yes.
Okay, now we open up the discussion.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to give our staff report?
yes, if you would, please.
Absolutely, happy to. So this request for map amendment is from Joseph Palazzolo to rezone 3 parcels described as City of Laingsburg lots 7, 8, 9, 10, and the west half of lots 6 and 11 within block 27. These are also known as 500 and 504 Grand River Road. So the applicant is requesting to rezone these parcels from RM, medium density residential, to RH, high density residential. Following rezoning, the applicant intends to remodel the existing church building on the subject property to create 4 residential apartments. These parcels constituting the subject property are located in a block bordered by West Grand River Road, William Street, Shiawassee Street, and Abbott Street. In total, the subject property is rectangular in shape, contains 125 feet of frontage along West Grand River Road, 250 feet of frontage along Shiawassee Street, and 125 feet of frontage along William Street.
That would be East Grand River, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was,
Okay, I apologize. East Grand River Road. Moving on, the subject property is approximately 0.72 acres in size and contains a church that is no longer used and 1 accessory structure. I do believe there's still an additional single-family dwelling there on the corner of Grand River and Shiawassee as well. The parcels composing the subject property are currently zoned RM, medium density residential, and previously used for a church and single-family dwelling. The applicant intends to remodel the church building to create the four apartments, approximately 1,000 square feet each. So the proposed use is classified as a multiple family dwelling, which if rezoned would permit up to 6 apartments per structure. And that is permitted by right within the RH zoning district. There's limited vegetation on the property. What is in place is primarily located on the south end of the property. Land use pattern, primarily in this area, we're seeing single-family residential dwellings. Further to the west, we have downtown with a lot of commercial uses. South is primarily cultivated farmland and open space. So the site has rear parking available from Shiawassee Street, and the applicant intends to keep that intact, and then also provide 2 additional off-street parking spaces in front of the building along Grand River Road. The applicant should clarify whether public sewer is available at the site. And any storm drainage issues are subject to review and approval by the City of Laingsburg DPW and Shiawassee County Drain Commissioner Office. So when we talk about rezonings, one thing we have to refer to is the master plan. And specifically the future land use map really is a writing document talking about where we would like to see develop specific types of development go within the city for the future. The future land use map designates this area as medium density residential, which is what the current zoning district currently is. The nearest high density residential area, which there's only one identified on our future land use map, and that's what's existing at the intersection of Prospect and Elm Street. It's approximately 0.7 of a mile northeast of this site. However, on top of that future land use map, we also have to consider proximity to similar and like uses and how other plans cooperate with our master plan. Should be noted that within our master plan, we do note in chapter 6 that we want to create flexible regulations that encourage a variety of housing types which meets the needs of a changing population. So although this future land use map does not identify this area as high density, as preference for high density residential zoning, there are other factors within our plans which are pointing to encourage this a diversified housing stock. So that concludes our staff report.
Okay, let's open it up for questions. Any other comments? Joseph, would you like to say something?
Well, I guess I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm hoping when we looked at it, our best use was apartments over there. We really like the location where it's close to schools, so that if we do put some more apartments in, which honestly, our long-term plan, we would like to see at least 1 6-unit building in the back eventually, just to be upfront with you guys so you know what our plans actually are. So immediately we'd like to make 4 apartments. We had considered doing 2 condo units and doing making each one of those 2 units. That would have been the easiest, fastest route to go ahead and get 4 units in there. But it kind of made for a messy landscape. So we decided, because we would like to put more units in the future, it made sense to go ahead and apply for the rezoning, and also to apply for it for that whole corner. Since we own that whole section that is on the end there, it keeps it neat and clean, and allows us to not take one little spot and zone it for that, but allow the whole corner. So you've got a bigger piece of property. It made sense to us that you wouldn't want to try and just do the church, because really it seems like the best use for the church. So we just thought it made sense to come and ask if we could just do the whole section right there to keep it a block instead of a piecemeal kind of thing. Be happy to answer any questions or concerns. I'm new at this, so you guys tell me what you need, and that's what we'll try and do.
So actually, go ahead.
So is the plan to put the 4 units in the church, and then you would be planning on building additional units on those lots at some point in the future?
Correct. We would not immediately build any additional buildings on the premises. Our main thrust right now is to get that church back to a usable building. I think most of you saw the roof was caving in. There was a bit of damage on the inside, so we're trying to get all that squared away. And then, yeah, we want to get the 4-unit in place before we even consider doing anything else.
Could you change the outside of the building? Because that's one of the ugliest buildings in town, and I've been staring at it for over 30 years across the street.
I wondered what you had to say about this, Doug.
Well, that's one thing. That is
Right
one,
now,
one
on the
ugly
outside,
building.
yeah. I think they thought it was pretty when it started. Our initial plan is, and we actually stopped work because we got a message from the building inspector that he was considering putting a stop work because we hadn't chosen a zoning. And we were kind of taken back by that because we didn't realize that we had to choose a zoning right away or anything. And then COVID hit, which changed what we had originally planned to do with the building. So anyway, to answer your question, our original plan was to simply paint it for right now until the structure's finished. And then in the future, I would love to see that building sided because I agree with you. It's not quite as beautiful as the day it was built.
The other question I had was parking.
Yep.
Now, I know that there's going to be parking in the back, right? You said?
Correct. Yes.
And couple on Grand River right in front of the building?
Yes, right
across from
now.
me, in other words?
So you're the house across the street from.
I'm just a little bit kitty corner. I'm the small gray house up on the hill, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
One house from one house away from Shiawassee. But you know the blue house across from me where Mark lives?
Yeah.
Before Mark bought that house, the people that owned that had an apartment upstairs. And we had all kinds of trouble with people parking in front of our mailbox constantly. We didn't get mail for 2 or 3 days at a time sometimes. Finally, I think this was back when Lon Cripps was chief, and finally he went and talked to them and got it straightened out, and we didn't have any problem after that. And that would be one of the things. I know people that lived there in your building probably would have enough parking, but visitors are going to just be parking anywhere across the street, in front of the building, wherever. I just want to make sure that the police department realizes that that's not legal to park in front of a rural mailbox. And even though we're not rural, it's a rural style mailbox, which everybody has here unless they have one at the post office. But it is illegal to park in front of a mailbox like that. And as long as that's taken care of, that's my biggest thing.
Well, I would say that that's a city street. And I'm curious, I was a little confused too about saying there'd be 2 parking spots out front, because you can't park cars on the street after a certain time to a certain time because of snow and so forth. So there is no permanent parkings on the street.
Correct.
That's
and if
at
they do
night.
park on the street overnight, they're going to get snowed in with the plows because they are not going to go around them. They'll go around them and plow the roads. They'll be buried.
To tell you the truth, that's at night, and I'm more worried about between noon and 3. When the mail.
I think basically what everybody is asking, how much parking are you going to have in the back?
Thank you.
So
and if they do start parking in front of mailboxes, is the Laingsburg Police Department going to issue tickets and stuff since it is illegal?
So the reason that I asked, and I included in our overall assessment for the 2 parking spots in front, is because right now there's a handicap parking space right directly in front of the church.
That was for the church.
Correct. There's also 1 parking spot. We own the house next door, the pastor's residence. So we bought both the church and the pastor's residence. Right now there's 1 parking spot there. on the house side. My intention was to make an additional parking spot there so that you can park 2 cars in the front off of the road, and then require the people at the house to park in the back parking lot because we provide out there for them. Those 2 parking spots would simply be for convenience for the 2 front apartments, so that they don't have to park all the way around back, climb the stairs, cut all the way across, or come up the yard and back through. We'll provide 1 spot to each one of the front apartments as their spot. They'll know which one is which. All tenants will be informed in their lease that there's no parking on the road and that any company has to also park out the back. And then we put additional gravel down in the back when we started working on the church. And then we just had them deliver some more additional gravel in order to expand it a little bit in the back there. But the plan is for the 4 apartments, you'll have the 2 up in front, and then you'll have at least 6 to 8 parking spots for the apartment building, not including the parking spaces for the house next door. So our big push was, let's just make it convenient for the 2 in the front, but then also give plenty of room so that everybody has a parking spot. And if they have friends over or whatever, they have a parking spot. And as far as I'm concerned, they can walk up the hill or go up the stairs and around if they're, friends.
Yeah, there's school parking lots nearby too, if additional parking's needed.
Right. And if I don't provide those, then they're gonna park on the street because they don't have a place.
Yeah.
It's convenient, but if I make those off roads, I believe that they'll park there, and we'll make it clear. If you're parking on the road, it's a ticket. There's no parking on the road. Your 2 spots are here, the rest are out back. And I think that'll take care.
I mean, it's legal to park on the road during the daytime, but you just can't park in front of somebody's mailbox. That's the whole point.
And again, I'd like to put in the lease that nobody parks on the road. It's either one of your spaces up front or you park in the back.
So I have a question. Mike, you kind of went this way. I mean, aren't those city parking spots? I mean, can you put in your lease? I mean, what's to stop somebody that's not anything to do with your apartment complex parking in those spots, and wouldn't that be okay?
The on-road spots, you mean?
The on-road spots, yes.
On-road, I can't stop anybody from doing anything, but it's been my experience that if I put in a lease that they're not supposed to do it, most of the time they won't fight too hard. They'll just say, okay, we got to park them back because that's what our lease says.
Yeah, but you talked about having 2 spots on the road out front.
No, off-road parking. I don't want anybody parking on the road. In fact, I'd like to leave the handicap parking sign in front just because you can't legally park there unless you're handicapped.
So these are essentially short driveways that they could park into.
There's 1 parking spot there already that's next to the pastor's house. It's literally just a small parking spot so they can jump out and go into the house.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to make additional space there so that 2 cars could fit there comfortably, and then assign those to the 2 tenants that would have the frontmost apartments in the building.
So to clarify, the 2 spots that you just talked about, those are off-road. Those are not on-road.
Those would be on private property, not on the road.
I thought you said you had 2 on Grand River. You don't have any on Grand River then?
I have 1, it's facing Grand River. So I don't know if I said that incorrectly. That's why I put off-road parking on the form. Irregardless of where they're allowed to or not allowed to park on the road, right now there's 1 private parking spot on our property at the front of the pastor's house.
That was their driveway, right?
Yeah, it's a driveway, but I mean, you're only off the sidewalk 4 feet when you park there, so.
Well, just because there's parking here and there doesn't have anything to do with whether people are actually gonna. I got to get back to my main point. I don't want them parking in front of my mailbox so that I don't get my mail, because it's happened lots of times in the 30-some years that we've been here.
I respect that concern, and I think that ultimately, though, as far as the public parking on the road is concerned with,
Out of my control.
Yeah, I agree. I think that falls on the Laingsburg Police Department.
I agree.
I agree.
So my question then is, you said that there are 6 to 8 spots planned for additional parking in the private property.
Behind the building.
As a group, do we feel like that is enough for the proposed 4 units within the church?
Tony, let me ask another question, and then that would lead into that question, right? So you're talking 4 apartments, right? How many bedrooms they're 1,000 square feet, so you can't have a lot of, how many folks do you expect to be in all these apartments when they're all said and done? And that leads to how many cars there might be, was where I was going, so.
Can I interrupt for a second? So just so you're aware, right now, all we're doing is asking if we can make an amendment to the map. He's gonna have to bring a site plan
Okay.
with like all kinds of information that our site plan goes through. I can tell you how many items, but we're gonna have a site plan review, and probably, I don't know, I guess it will be a use by right or a special land use, Mike.
It is used by right. And I didn't want to interrupt there because I think we had some good conversations about what this is going to be, a change to the area, and increased need for parking is part of that. But you're right, Paul.
Which is fine. I'm not trying to stop. I'm just letting you know that we will be seeking more information from the applicant. But first, we have to get through this first, and then once, if you guys decide that you want to allow this there, then you can put stipulations in there for the parking and whatever else we need if he's going to build an apartment unit there.
Yep. So this is, if the rezoning's approved, the next step would then be to apply for a site plan review. We would take a look at those units that he's going to have in the old church building. In regard to parking specifically, 2 spaces are required for each dwelling unit. So he's got 4 units there. He's got to have 8 off-street parking spaces. As soon as we hit 5 total units out of the overall development, we have to have 1 additional space for guest parking. That's in the ordinance. It's got to be met. Being a use that's permitted by right is generally something that it's an administrative site plan review. But the planning commission always has the option to take a look at the site plan review specifically if they want to. It can be kicked up to this board to look at the specifics of what he's proposing before zoning approval is issued. So that's always something to keep in your back pocket. If we're feeling like we're uncomfortable about the overall rezoning request, however, we feel like we want to move forward with it, it's something that could be required.
And like I said, I'm already looking at, if I have 2 in front and I was talking 6 to 8 in the back, we're looking at potentially 10 sites just for those 4 units for parking, above and beyond what would be for the house next door. So we really are concerned, just as you are. We're trying to do a good job over there. So we don't want to come in and create havoc for anybody. And I think Mike can attest to the fact that I've tried to work on everything with you guys to make it good for everybody.
You can't trust Mike. I've known him for a long time.
I think he's talking about a different Mike, Doug.
I used to be, for a little while, I was his Sunday school teacher.
Really?
Adult Sunday school.
So Michael,
Anyway.
did I hear you say that if we approve this for changing the zoning, the site plan may not come back to the planning commission?
So as it's written now, it's done by administrative site plan review unless the planning commission wants to see it. Planning commission always has an option to look at it. Part of some of those changes we were doing with our RRC approval process was streamlining the approval process for zoning so that less things get brought to the planning commission, speed up the overall approvals. However, doesn't mean that the planning commission can't see it. It's just at their discretion. So if that's something you would like to see as a group, we can bring it back to you.
Can I ask another question? Joe,
Sure.
Doug, go ahead.
I've got a rental house right beside me.
Okay.
And it's owned by Mr. Brewer. I can't remember his first name, at least it was. When he was first remodeling that house to rent, he was telling us that he always checks his occupants out very well ahead of time. I know he vets them, in other words, you know.
Yep.
Are you guys going to be doing that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's not good for us if the person isn't capable of paying, gonna pay, whatever. But it's also not good for us if this is a person that's created a lot of problems in the places they've been, because if it creates a problem for you, it creates a problem for me, right? So we're just shooting for the best possible tenants that we can get with the best possible history. I can't promise you that nobody's ever going to slide by us, but I'm the fluff puppy in the partnership. My partner is let's just say he goes to Detroit every day and works with a very rough crowd. So he handles any people issues we have, and he also is the guy who will vet to make sure that we have minimal problems with the tenants to the best of our ability.
I don't know why she's not on here. I thought Becca Allen was going to be on here, but she's got 3 little kids over here, and there's kids across the street, just a few houses east of the church. And, you know, we have a lot of kids in the neighborhood. I don't have any anymore. And my grandkids don't come very often. So that part doesn't bother me, but
Well,
was just
honestly,
curious.
that's part of why we liked this location, because it would be great for, you know, a single mom, for a small family. It's perfect location because the elementary is 1 block this way and the middle school is 1 block that way. And the bus goes right by the front, you know, if they stay through high school. So that was one of the draws for us, is this seems like a really good location for this type of development, just for that particular reason. And normally families are less hassle, in my opinion, than single people are. So your location helps to draw the kind of crowd that you want to run to. And we just felt this was premium location for something like that.
And of course, living across from me, that's a big advantage too.
Can I put that in the advertisement?
Yeah, as long as you don't park in front of his mailbox.
Yeah.
If I may, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on the zoning map amendment.
I have a question. It might go into that before we close it. Is there sewage? Is there storm drains? Is there all that accessible to the building?
The sewer is already hooked up to the building. Storm drains, I'm not exactly sure how it all works. It appears that on the next door neighbor, his land is a little bit lower than ours, and it's also lower than the road, and yet there's never any water there. So I haven't identified it yet, but I'm pretty certain that there's got to be some kind of a drain right there, because everybody around him on all sides drains into his property. But I have yet to see any standing water whatsoever. In fact, they still drive on it to park their boat trailers and stuff back there. So I gotta believe that water is being taken somewhere.
So, and Paul or Mike, you maybe want to refine this question. Has there been a study? Has there been something to make sure that the sewer is adequate to handle 3 more families moving into that? I mean, do we know? Or
I can at least speak to the storm drain issue. That's again another thing that's covered by site plan review. When we go through this process, we are going to send this out for other more qualified people, really, to review the actual stormwater management that's being proposed. Typically, I mean, for on that. It's never typically an issue unless there's a lot of earth moving that's going on, a new parking lot that's put in. And even then, a lot of that stuff can be mitigated if it's porous material, as long as it's not asphalt. But again, things that will be covered by site plan review. That as far as the impact on the actual sewer itself, I can't really speak to that. I'm not sure if Paula can or not.
On the sewer? I don't know if he would have to get an additional tap in or whatever I mean, that's something we would probably have to ask our engineers about.
That would all be part of the site plan and
Right.
whether it works. So, okay. Yeah. All right.
So the bottom line of it
Go ahead, Mike.
Is the fact that you have an existing driveway that is not on the Grand River Road. You would like to extend that. You'd like to change the zoning to the high density, and you have the parking in the rear. Am I correct at what I'm saying, the way I'm saying it to you, Joseph?
I didn't quite understand the first part about extending the driveway. The driveway.
Well, you said
already-
you have an existing driveway there.
Oh, okay. For the front of the house,
Right.
it would be adding one. We would basically just bring in enough gravel so that it's a 2 parking spot instead of a 1 parking spot, because the rest of it's already there. There's room on, the curb is already cut there. It wouldn't really, to the best of my knowledge, it wouldn't affect the road at all, just expanding that spot. And then the rest of it would be behind the back off of Shiawassee Street. So
Right. So what you're asking for is to extend a driveway that pretty much exists right now with
Correct.
no parking on Grand River going with your
Correct.
establishment, as we
Correct.
thought that was the case when we started.
yeah, no. On
Okay. And the other side, the lot is accommodatable for your residents. And the site plan will come and review afterwards. So now that that's been clarified, I'll second Mr. Appicelli's motion. And then the discussion really could go from there, but that second is there that's needed. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need to do a roll call? Paula?
Yes.
Fine.
Ridsdale,
Yes.
Appicelli,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Kiesler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
yes,
Okay. So that's
we're out of
been
closed
approved.
session.
Okay, so that just closes the
Or-
public hearing.
Right.
Now, if you want to take action on the map amendment, you can do that.
So we need a motion for how we want to proceed with the map amendment.
Correct.
So I guess collectively as a group, do we feel like we want to see this, or do we want to leave this to administrative review?
So can somebody define administrative review for us?
Sure. So the same site plan review requirements apply. The standards aren't different. The difference is it's staff that's approving the request at the end of the day versus the planning commission.
Okay. And then if they had variances or things they wanted to change, then that might have to come to the planning.
So if they cannot meet the standards of the ordinance as written, then they would have to obtain a variance to get that portion, to get what their proposed site plan is approved. So yeah, we would outline all the standards of the ordinance. This is what we see here, based on the amount of units that you have, you got to show the 8 off-street parking spaces. Okay, well, what does that look like? They're 20 by 10s. The requirement's going to be 20 feet by 10, with a certain width for access. Is it going to be paved? Is it going to be asphalt? Those types of things are all locked down in the site plan. If they can't be met, then you're right. Then it would come to another board. And it would be, at that point, it would be the zoning board of appeals, not the planning commission.
Okay. Yeah. So do we have a motion?
You would, no, go ahead. Sorry.
So to answer Tony's question, I feel that we could proceed with it because it's going to go through numerous things, the zoning and all that. And I don't see why not. I think we could.
Basically what we're deciding tonight is, are we going to change zoning for that area to be high person, I don't remember the term, but
High
as opposed
density.
to medium.
Well, based on the facts that I see, this is the mayor speaking, as far as what's been presented to us, and the fact that we don't have that many questions and what public is out there, the biggest concern is parking in front of their mailboxes and stuff. I would make the motion that we allow the change in the zoning map to high density for that property.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Mike and a second by Tony. All roll call?
Yep. Ridsdale,
Yes.
Epiceli,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Okay, so that's been passed. That will, we'll move on to the next phases, site plan and all that stuff. So, okay. So
Thank
now.
you very much.
next-
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So next is other. Do we need a motion to open other discussion?
No.
Nope. Okay, so we'll go back to John. John, you have a request to have a second sign for 120.
I'm gonna
Wes?
take off, you guys. Mike, I'm gonna take off. So
Have a good
you
night.
don't need,
Thanks, Doug.
this is other business, right? This is.
Yeah,
no
we're just gonna
longer
move.
the-
We're gonna move on and close up the meeting here pretty quick.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Yep, thank you, guys. Just remember the outside of that building. And my mailbox, of course.
We could have the art class come down and change it till they get it sided.
Yeah, well,
Okay, John, you want to talk about your signs and what you're looking for a little bit more?
Sure. Thank you for allowing me to make this request. It's a little last minute. I recognize, but I was talking with Paula today, and I kind of thought in an effort to dot our I's and cross our T's, I would ask you all to consider approving 2 additional signs that we want to put on our building. And I guess this is normally an administrative function that Paula could approve when we submit our application and pay our fee and so forth. But given that we only, in our planning, site plan approval, whatever it was called, we only proposed 1 sign. And so we thought in, full disclosure, again, dotting I's and crossing T's, I would like to at least show you what we're looking at for the 2 additional signs. And I think Paula can give you a screenshot of them.
I'm working on it. Hang on a minute here.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
So John, are these going to be like lit up and flashing lights? And I'm just kidding.
No, they're not gonna. They'll be lit,
Lit, yeah.
but
Not
not flashing lights. No, nothing
Sorry,
like that.
that's where I was going.
Yeah. And the one is on the gable of the very front porch. It would be the name of the store, which is the name of the store is Local Roots. Trying to play on the fact that we're local people and have roots in the community. We see that as one of our primary marketing messages. And then the second sign would be on the east side of the building, which has been re-sided. And we thought that would be a good place to put our logo. And that would be a large sign, probably 6 feet tall. Oh, here we come.
So this is this is what was approved originally. And that was gonna go, I don't know where.
No, that sign, yeah, that'll still be there. That sign is going to say, family owned and operated.
Okay, so that one is still gonna be there. Gotcha.
Yep.
Now, let's see if I can get one of these other ones to pull up.
Brought up a lot of nostalgia when you put that siding off that building, John.
I know.
Yeah.
It was called the Hut, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used
It
to
was our
hang out
hangout
there
when
and
I
lay
was a kid.
around.
I can tell you when our electrician went through and saw the wiring from back then, that building's been there a while.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be a gas station, apparently. And
May have been. The first I knew that anything operated in my life's history was it was just a ice cream store. Now, it may have been something before I remembered it, but then they turned it into the restaurant ice cream store
I
with
see.
that back section in the back where they had pinball tables, booths, pool tables, all that kind of stuff.
It was great.
Yeah, it was something to go to.
Well, that's where all the kids went to back in the late 70s.
Yeah. Well, in doing some video conversion, kind of a side project for Paula on the history of Laingsburg, I discovered that where our parking lot used to be Peter Lang's. It was the very first tavern in town. And so
Can you guys see that?
No.
No.
Oh, you're still not seeing the other one? Oh,
Yeah, the other one's still up.
it's up on my other screen. So here we go. How's that?
Nothing changed.
Yep.
You changed our faces around, but that was it. Moved them to the side of the screen.
What? All right, stop. Let's try this again. Share. I mean, because I'm looking at it. I don't know why you're not looking at it.
They don't like us.
You're killing me, Smalls.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
so that would be, those would be cutout letters, not exactly like that. They're going to be metal or something, but that gives you an idea. And then can you go to the next one?
I'm going to try. No promises. Which one are you seeing?
We're seeing the one that says local roots, the front of the building.
The Gable.
You're looking at the front this time. Okay.
Yes.
Close that one. And I'm going to open the other one now. When I have two screens, it's kind of like a little bit crazy,
We need to get you like 4 or 5.
right? Okay, now we got it over here.
So Paula, if
Yes?
you share a display, you should be able to drag things onto that display. It looks like you're sharing an application, so you're sharing the picture. And that's why that's the only one you can see. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
doesn't.
Ah,
At least she's honest.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, okay. Share.
There we go.
Is that the other one now?
Yep. You got it.
Okay.
And
Whew.
that's kind of obviously a Photoshop, but that's what we're looking at, something like that.
Where and how does this play into our ordinances on signs, Paula or Mike?
Sure. So part of the performance standards for the special use permit, we've got a section in here that says the site and structure shall be designed, constructed, and maintained so that display, decoration, or signage depicting or describing activities or merchandise within the structure cannot be observed by pedestrian, occupant of a vehicle, or from an adjacent land use. Such provisions are intended to protect minors from viewing material, message, or depiction that is not by law age appropriate.
So it's saying the Leafs can't be there?
I would interpret, yeah, I would agree with that.
That the local roots cannot be there. Is that what you're saying? By our zoning ordinance?
No, just the leaves. The
Just the
local roots
leaves.
could be there.
Yeah. And I think also too, that, being that the overall sign was approved as part of the special use permit site plan review process, and we did bring Mr. Liskey back for an amendment here, just to change the essential going from micro business to adult use retail. I think it's only fair that a decision like this would be made at an actual public hearing and not added to the end of an agenda of a public meeting. Because with the public hearing, we're posting in the newspaper that there's an amendment here. Surrounding property owners are getting physical mailers sent to them. I think it just increases transparency and makes things better for the overall community.
Agreed.
I agree with, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, well,
And Mike,
that's why,
yeah, I think we should take it to a bigger group.
okay,
Do we have a motion to do that?
Do we need one if it's an other?
Do we just need to table it till next meeting to have a public hearing? We want to schedule a public hearing.
I think what would be appropriate here is maybe an amendment, just an application for amendment to the site plan. That way we can notice it the same way we did back when the use was amended.
okay. That's why we brought it to your attention, because neither Paul or I knew exactly what to do. So thank you
Sure.
for your direction.
So
Thank
are
you.
Are we good with what we've done? Do we need the motion to table it or to do? Nope, we're good. All right.
Nope.
Any
I think
other
it's just a
business?
discussion piece.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Is there any other business out there? Do we have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll
Motion to
motion we
adjourn.
close the meeting.
Second, Pacelli.
Okay.
All
We need to
set.
vote that or are we good?
No, we don't need to vote that.
Yeah, I didn't figure.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.